Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about one of the Python data types called list. I'm going to show you some examples and built-in methods and functions that we have for the Python list. Let's dive into the code. We have 7 data types in Python: numbers, string, list, tuple, dictionary, set, and booleans. Today we're going to talk about data type list. Basically, lists are ordered collection of Python objects. They are mutable, means that we can modify the entry at a specified index, and each element can be accessed by offsetting from the beginning of the list, and they're constructed by square brackets and comma separating elements. We'll show you some examples. Lists can be nested to arbitrary depth and can contain any mix and match of the other Python data types. The first example is a list of integers. Here I'm studying the variable mList. To define the list, I use square brackets and put the integers comma separated and assign to this variable. Next, we print out this list and print out the type of this variable. And when we shift execute this, we got the numbers, and the class list is the data type for this one. Since it is a class, it has methods that we're going to review in the following section. The second example is list of strings, and we have these strings A through E and comma separated inside the bracket again, and shift enter to execute. We got these strings in here. Third example is list of string and integer, basically a mix and match of the string and the integers. Again, shift enter to execute. Example 4 is list of the list. This is one list, another list, and the third list, and we put it in the main list that we have and assign to the variable mList. Shift enter to execute. Example 5 is list of the strings. Same way, shift enter. We have this main list that we have, mList, and the other list that we have, list of strings. Example 6 is list of strings and integers, and we have them defined as here. And the third list basically is another mix and match, and putting all together inside these brackets, comma separated, we can get the mList. Shift enter. List is a class and it has its own methods. The first method is method append. Basically, it adds an element to the end of the list. So we have this list. We're going to append number 6 to the end of this. Method doesn't return any value. So let's shift enter this one. We see that we have the list and we have added number 6 to the end of it. Method extend adds all elements of a list to the another list. So we have first list defined here. I'm going to extend it to include all the elements of this another list that we have 6 through 10, and we get mList numbers 1 to 10. Method insert basically inserts an element to the list at the specified index. It doesn't return any value and takes in 2 arguments. The first argument is the index, and the second argument is the value that we're putting at that index, and can only be applied to the list. Let's shift enter this one, and we see that we have at the index 0 number -1. Method remove basically removes the first matching element, which is passed through the argument. It doesn't return any value and takes only single argument and can only be applied to the list. So I have the mList defined in 1 through 5, and now I'm going to remove number 5 at the first index which we are gonna have. So in this one, we're gonna have number 5 sitting at index 4, and we're gonna get 1 through 4. Method pop basically removes the element at the given index from the list and returns the removed element. It takes a single argument and can only be applied to the list. So I have my list 1 through 5 again. I'm going to pop the item that we have at index 0, in this case number 1. Shift enter, and you see that we got the new list 2 through 5. Method clear removes all the items from the list. It doesn't return any value and doesn't take any argument and can only be applied to the list. My list includes numbers 1 through 5, and I'm going to apply the method clear, and the list should be an empty list. Method index basically returns the index of the first matched element. Index only takes a single argument and can only be applied to the list. So I have my numbers 1 through 5 again. I'm going to get the index that I have for number 3. So in this case, you see that number 3 is sitting at index 2. 0, 1, 2. Method count returns the number of times the specified element appears in the list. It takes a single argument and can only be applied to the list, and we can't apply it to other data types such as string, integer, or other data types. So my list is defined 1 through 5 again. I'm going to count how many times number 1 exists in this one. So again, I shift enter this one, and I'm going to get number 2, which says number 1 has appeared twice in this list. Method sort basically sorts the elements of a given list in a specific ascending or descending order. It doesn't return any value, so the return value should be none, and doesn't take any argument and can only be applied to the list. In this example, I have my list defined with the numbers that I have here, and I'm gonna apply method.sort and print out the values. I got a sorted list. Reverse basically does the reverse of the sort, doesn't return any value and doesn't take any argument, and again can only be applied to the list. So I have my list defined here. I'm gonna apply method.reverse, and you see the numbers start from 5 through 1. Method copy creates a shallow copy of the list. It doesn't take an argument, can only be applied to the list. Again, I have my list in here, and I'm gonna make a shallow copy of this by .copy, and I'm gonna get the new copy of this list. If I go and modify an entry, say at index 1 for this new list, it won't change the values that I have in the original list. Method length returns the number of the elements in the list, so it's gonna return the length of this. Method min basically returns the minimum value that I have, or the smallest value that I have in this list, in this case number 1. Method max basically returns the largest element, which is in this case again number 5, and sum returns the sum of all elements in this list. Sort basically returns a new sorted list from the elements in the iterable. So I have my list defined here, and I'm gonna apply the method sorted. Method any returns true if one single element of the iterable is true, otherwise it returns false. Shift enter, and I get true for this case. All elements are true. Method all returns true if all elements of the iterable are true, otherwise it returns false. I hope that you found this video useful. Till next time, happy coding.